In this video, I'll be testing this Coleman 10-person instant darkroom cabin tent against rain. It was raining for quite a few hours over the few days that I was using this tent, but it was mostly light rain and it looked like this. The Rainfly only partially covers this Coleman 10-person tent, which is to prevent water from seeping in through the ceiling mesh. All the seams of the Rainfly have been sealed, as you can see here. The roof of this tent is curved, so water doesn't collect at the top and instead drips down. However, because the Rainfly is quite small and the tent body slants outwards a bit, there is very little rain protection from the Rainfly. Even with just light rainfall, rain does get on the window mesh, so it's best to keep these windows closed while it's raining. As you can see here, most of the window mesh is already damp and the rain is super light. The water literally just drips off the Rainfly and onto the mesh. This Coleman 10-person tent has a bathtub flooring that's about 4 inches high. However, because the seam connecting the black fabric of the tent body to the bathtub flooring has not been seam taped, even though it's an inverted seam, I noticed that water started leaking around the sides of the tent after about 30 minutes of light rain. After about 3 hours of light rain, a lot of water started leaking in through that seam. No water seeped through the bathtub flooring though, and it was still dry after 3 hours of light rainfall. Which seams are taped and which aren't. The vertical seams on the tent body are inverted seams, so they weren't sealed or taped. The topmost horizontal seam between the tent body and the mesh roof is not inverted and also not taped, but it is protected by the Rainfly. The second topmost horizontal seam is not taped, but it is inverted and also pretty much protected. The third horizontal seam that connects the blue tent fabric to the black tent fabric is not inverted, so it has been taped, and the bottommost seam connecting the tent body to the bathtub flooring was not seam taped, so there was a lot of leaking. Check out how soaked this seam is. And this is just from a few hours of light rain. It wasn't seam taped because this is an inverted seam, but in my experience, this has never really worked to prevent leaking, at least for me. The window seams are all completely taped on all windows, and all the doors have also been seam taped. I noticed a pretty big pool of water from this leaking zipper at about 30 minutes of light rain, so maybe it started leaking at about 15 minutes in, and by the 3-hour mark it was soaked and leaking quite a bit. Check out how much it's leaking. This is real-time leaking and I did not speed this up. I tried to make sure that the zippers were protected by this yellow rain cover thing on the outside, but it seems to be soaked with water and made the leaking worse. So if you have this tent, I recommend putting the zippers higher up where it's more protected by the Rainfly instead of lower down where water can seep in. As for the fabric of the main tent body, even after 3 hours of light rain, all the fabric was dry from the inside. This blue fabric nearer the top of the tent was still dry, and this black fabric nearer the bottom of the tent was also still dry, even though it was more exposed to the rainfall. Overall, I can't say that I'm very impressed with how this Coleman 10-person instant cabin tent performed against rain. Here's how much water there was inside the tent after just 3 hours of light rain. And this is light rain, not moderate or even heavy rain. It'll definitely do much better if you seal this inverted seam near the bathtub flooring first, and also be mindful of where you place the zippers. For a full review on this Coleman 10-person instant cabin tent, or if you need to learn how to set this up, check out these 2 videos right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.